I'd like to spend a couple minutes just talking about how our program will proceed this evening and give you some idea of what you may anticipate. We think that the strength of putting together an evening reception of this kind is your opportunity to hear not only from the president of the university, but from many other members of our community. A number of alumni, faculty, students, and staff, coaches are here to share their views and to answer your questions. And I'd like to ask, will the members of the DePauw alumni family please stand and be recognized? Yay. I want to thank you very much for coming this evening and tell you how much we appreciate your willingness to come and share your experiences at DePauw. Let me outline the evening's events and share some thoughts with you before I introduce President Bottoms. And then following his comments, we're going to spend about 45 minutes giving you the chance to talk informally in groups. And these are the groups where you'll have the chance to ask questions and hear from faculty and staff, and also hear questions from other families. First of all, you might learn about academic engagement with members of our faculty who are here, learn about student opportunities, residence life, fraternities and sororities, and the first-year program with members of our student services staff. Our honors programs are represented: management fellows, media fellows, the honor scholar program, science research fellows, and the information technology associates program. The School of Music representatives are also here, and you might also learn about opportunities in intercollegiate athletics. We're going to encourage you, after we break up from the formal part of our program, to move from group to group as you wish, talking with people about your various interests and feeling free to ask questions, but also to move around to the different groups. And we'll reconvene about 8:30 for the palm handheld drawing. We'll come and get you all, bring you back here. And remember that the drawing will be based out of a basket on these cards that we have asked you, the students who are our guests this evening, to complete for us. So I know that some of you didn't have a chance to complete your card before you came into the auditorium. Well, of course, you'll want to pay rapt attention to my comments and those of President Bottoms, but after that, if you wouldn't mind filling them out and giving them either to me or to one of the members of the admissions staff who are here, and we will be sure that your card makes it into the basket for that drawing. Again, we'll do the drawing about 8:30, and just a reminder, you must be present to be the recipient of that palm handheld. I want to talk a little bit about why it is just a terrific time to be at DePauw University, both as a student and also as an employee. As you heard a little bit in the video, President Bottoms led the successful campaign for DePauw, Leadership for a New Century, which culminated in the year 2000 with $374 million raised. As a result of our financial success, DePauw has hired additional faculty, constructed new state-of-the-art buildings, and renovated existing structures, and has gained recognition as a leading national liberal arts college. Applications for admission to DePauw have climbed to record levels, and the university, now more selective and with a stronger academic profile than in any time in its history, has become a top choice for more of America's best students. DePauw University truly is an institution of increasing national significance. But if I was a student, I might be sitting out there thinking, okay, well, what does that success in fundraising, what does that really mean for me? And I'm really excited to tell you some of the great things at DePauw that it will mean for you in your life as a student. First of all, we've made a significant investment in our faculty because they're at the heart of our program. We've expanded our faculty pretty dramatically, going from 160 to 222 full-time positions over 4 years. Our faculty to student ratio is 1 to 10, and just a reminder that all of our courses are taught by faculty members. We don't employ teaching assistants of any kind. We've also emphasized faculty development and scholarship and invested in that teaching and scholarship. For example, in the year 2001, 66% of our faculty members published books, book chapters, articles, or made presentations at regional, national, or international conferences. 14 books from faculty members at DePauw were published in 2001, and 6 so far in 2002. And this includes Professor Dennis Trinkle's book, and Professor Trinkle is present with us here this evening, his 9th book on internet resources for the teaching of history. Foundation and government grants to support academic programs and faculty research for the first 9 months of 2002 exceed $1.2 million. These include 7 National Science Research Foundation Awards, 2 Mellon grants, 2 Toshiba Foundation grants, and 1 Freeman grant. These awards validate the significance and quality of our faculty and faculty-student research at DePauw. Students are engaged in research projects that will be published when they are undergraduates, and as you might imagine, that's pretty powerful evidence of commitment on a graduate school application. We also have some significant technology initiatives, funded in part by a $20 million grant of distinction from the Lilly Endowment. We launched a new program of information technology workshops called START that are open to all students, which include online training and certifications. The START program ensures that our graduates now have a potent combination of problem solving and tech skills that will serve them well in graduate school, their professional lives, and in their personal lives. We also introduced an Information Technology Associates program that features on-campus apprenticeships and both on and off-campus internships on web design, instructional support, music instructional technology, computing technical support, and digital video. More than half of our classrooms are equipped for multimedia and web-based presentations, or will be by next fall, the fall of 2003, and we're currently piloting wireless internet access across campus. In terms of student life, we're continuing our highly successful DePauw Year One program, one of the features of which is a series of first-year seminars taught across the curriculum, and our enrolling first-year students will choose one of those seminars from the great variety that are offered by faculty members. These courses are typically average 14 in size. They're limited to 15, and so not only does a student have a very small, intimate academic experience with a faculty member, but that faculty member will serve as the student's advisor until he or she declares their own major and selects their own advisor. So again, small group, seminar-style coursework designed to really quickly help students ramp up from high school quality work to the level of intellectual expertise that's required to be successful at DePauw. During orientation, our residence life staff, both the professional staff and our student professional staff and our mentors, are very active in helping students make that transition from high school and home to more independent living on campus. And one of the most important things that we talk about with students during opening week and throughout the whole first year, and our DePauw Year One program is talking about emphasizing responsibility for your actions, respect for others, and respect for yourself. And again, these are all part and parcel of a unified campus effort to help students become acclimated to the intellectual experience at DePauw, and again, to help them develop productive behaviors that will help them in their independent adult life. We've also expanded residential options as we increase the housing choices offered to our students. In addition to recently renovated residence halls where first-year students will live, we also have apartments, theme houses, fraternities, and sororities, and this summer we added 9 duplexes and purchased additional apartments and houses to again provide more independent living options for upper-class students. We've completed the first phase of our $36 million renovation and technology additions to the Julian Science and Mathematics Center. The 361-degree center has just hosted its first information technology symposium entitled Beyond E, After the Shakeout, the Real Revolution. And we just also opened this fall our new Peeler Art Center, which is a state-of-the-art space optimal for the creation, teaching, and presentation of art, and it was designed by the internationally renowned architect Carlos Jimenez. Our new Indoor Tennis and Track Center, named by the United States Tennis Association as an outstanding tennis facility of 2002, will host next spring's NCAA Division III men's and women's indoor track and tennis championships. We're very proud to be the host of that event. And DePauw was recently ranked 4th nationally for our percentage of students who study abroad to fulfill graduation requirements. Our School of Music faculty, gifted musicians, and dedicated teachers offer exceptional preparation for vocal and instrumental careers. We have more than 100 ensemble and recital performances each year, and students not majoring in music are welcome to participate. In fact, about 1/3 of the student body is involved in the School of Music. And our new Dean of the School of Music, Dr. Amy Barber, is also here with us this evening. In the year 2002, the Putnam County Relay for Life, which was co-chaired by DePauw students, raised $125,000 to fund cancer research. And based upon the success of both our students and community members who came together to raise money in Relay for Life, we're one of the national finalists for the Heart of the Relay Award. And finally, the Hartman Center for Civic Education and Leadership provides our students firsthand opportunities to explore the many responsibilities of citizenship in a complex post-industrial society. DePauw University is committed to equipping our students with the skills they need to understand and to act upon the civic and social responsibilities that will accompany both their professional and their personal lives. We're very excited about the investments that we've made in our faculty, in our facilities, and in opportunities for student growth and development. And we will continue to make these same investments that will build for a richer academic challenge and multifaceted social experiences for all of our students. DePauw's emphasis on intellectual excellence and discourse within the classroom, combined with active learning experiences through internships and service learning programs, helps our students prepare for more productive and fulfilling lives. We are further pleased that there is external recognition for our academic investment and quality, as evidenced by our ongoing recognition as one of U.S. News & World Report's national liberal arts colleges. It's now my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Robert Bottoms, who's the president of DePauw University. Dr. Bottoms received his BA degree at Birmingham Southern College, a Bachelor of Divinity degree at Emory University, and his doctorate at Vanderbilt University. Dr. Bottoms assumed the presidency of DePauw in 1986 and has completed his 16th year in an era when the average tenure of a college president is but 6 years. In recognition of his outstanding leadership and distinguished record of innovation, in September, the Chronicle of Higher Education noted President Bottoms' staying power and success. Dr. Bottoms has served as a member and leader of numerous educational organizations, including the National Association of Independent Colleges and Universities, the National Association of Schools and Colleges of the United Methodist Church, the Great Lakes Colleges Association, the Japan Foundation, and the American Center for International Leadership. President Bottoms has written articles on education, finance, and development issues, including opinion pieces for the New York Times, the Indianapolis Star, and the Chicago Tribune. Dr. Bottoms currently serves on the board of directors of the Joyce Foundation in Chicago, the Posse Foundation in New York City, Women in Government in Washington, D.C., and Seabury Seminary in Chicago. In addition to his external roles, Dr. Bottoms is actively involved with students, as exemplified by the leadership course that he co-teaches. His colleagues in this endeavor include distinguished faculty members as well as retired Indiana Congressman Lee Hamilton, himself a DePauw graduate. One of Dr. Bottoms' most significant achievements is making DePauw's faculty, student body, and staff more diverse. We are fully committed to a university community that embraces geographic, socioeconomic, and racial diversity as we prepare our students for a global workforce and a global community. He's a visionary leader who offers much to our students as well as to the members of the DePauw community. Please join me in welcoming President Robert Bottoms.
It's a privilege for me to be here and have a chance to talk to you for a few moments about your college search. Obviously, there are a lot of colleges in the country who have important decisions to make, and we're really pleased that so many of you in Cincinnati are exploring DePauw as one of your options. In fact, there are so many options in choosing a college that it is oftentimes confusing. And so rather than simply talk more about DePauw, after you've heard Madeline sort of extol some of our virtues, which we're so pleased with, I'd like to explore two different questions with you, questions that I think are important when you choose a college. And they are very straightforward questions. The first one is, what kind of community do you want to live in? And the second one is, and you might not have thought about this, but your parents probably have, where do you want to be in 5 years? First of all, what kind of community do you want to live in? If you're like other students, you want to live in a community with bright people, right? We're proud of our students' accomplishments. As Madeline said, the median SAT score at DePauw is 1230. The grade point average last year of the class was 3.74, the entering students. Students from 35 states, 9 foreign countries. You want to be with bright people. DePauw is a good place. Secondly, I hope you want to be with diverse people. If you come to DePauw, you'll find people from all over the country. We're geographically diverse. People from all economic backgrounds, and people from all different ethnic backgrounds. This has become a very important phenomenon in higher education. As you heard, I've lived in Greencastle, Indiana for a long time. We came to DePauw in 1978, and I've probably learned more about being a college president and the college selection process from the experiences of our two children than I ever learned being president of the university. Our children grew up in Greencastle, a small town, about 10,000 people. We were pretty much all alike. And their experience in their work lives is not all that different from what many of you will experience. They both live on the West Coast. The people who surround our daughter in her firm, or the firm for which she works, are mostly Indian in ethnic makeup. The thing that she enjoys probably even more than her job is tutoring students in Palo Alto. And she's responsible for 2 students, one an African American, and one a young Hispanic girl. Our son works for another company right up the road, and most of the people he works with are Asian. Now, after growing up in Greencastle, if I had it to do all over again and I could sort of choose, which parents can't do, but I could choose an educational experience for our children that would have better prepared them for what they're doing, and they had it to do all over again, I'd choose a school like DePauw. Because we value diversity, and we come to believe that you really can learn a lot by being in an environment where there are some people who are different. We've worked very hard to diversify our faculty. We have 30 minority faculty. It's 15%. Our goal is 20%. And so I hope one of your goals is to be with bright people. You can find bright people at DePauw, and to be with diverse people. One of the reasons we feel so strongly about it is I bet if you think, and the parents who are here, I bet if you think, and alumni would probably think the same thing, back over your lives, we learn very little from people who are just like us. I was in Princeton, New Jersey at a meeting of the Bonner Foundation a week ago and heard Jim Keene, who's the author of Common Fire. And Jim has done a lot of research because so many young people are involved in community service. And what Jim sought to do was to find out what happens to young people who are really involved in community service once they're graduated from college, and what happens to the people who go into their communities and become movers and shakers. And said he to us at the Bonner Scholar Foundation meeting, the most important single thing in the lives of change agents, and he's talking about people under 30 years of age, that he examined nationwide, the most important single thing in the lives of change agents is that all could identify some experience in young adulthood, and particularly in college, when they encountered in a real way people who were different. So if you come to DePauw, you'll be with bright people, you'll be with a very diverse student body, you'll be with quality faculty. Now, I know, and you will discover, that no matter what college you look at, some president or some dean of admissions or vice president for admissions will stand before you and say, we have a quality faculty. Every institution in higher education says that. Well, we say that also. But think about how you might define a superior faculty. And I'd try to give a little life to some of the statistics that Madeline quoted. What kind of community do you want to live in? If you have one full-time faculty person for every 10 students, you will get to know the faculty very well. And some of you might not like this, but they'll get to know you very well. Your strengths and your weaknesses, and they'll help you build your strengths and attempt to eliminate your weaknesses. It was mentioned that several of our faculty, in collaboration with one another, received a very large grant from the National Science Foundation of $840,000. Well, that may not mean much to you unless you think about it and realize how many colleges and how many faculties compete for these awards and how few are given in a time when money is so tight, and reflect on what a compliment it is to our whole science faculty that people from DePauw were chosen to receive this rather large grant. Our faculty's received $1,200,000 in grants for their research, often with students, just this year. Another thing you'll discover if you choose to apply to DePauw, you're accepted and you choose to come, is that you will not meet our faculty in large lecture halls. We don't even have any lecture halls that you wouldn't take a class in a room this large. As a matter of fact, I found myself complaining. I have taught that philosophy course now. This is the 9th year. And I found myself complaining to Gwen the first time, my wife, the first time it was paper grading time, that we have too many students in this class. We have 20. That's the most we've ever allowed to come in. And I had to pinch myself and say, I do know those students pretty well, and they've gotten to know me pretty well. What I'm trying to say, when you think about the faculty and the kind of community in which you want to live, I've had the experience, as Madeline indicated, of attending 5 different higher education institutions. 3 were private, 2 were public. Some were small, some were large. And I have to say, when I reflect back on all those faculty and all those classes in those 5 institutions, the only faculty members I can name who had an impact on my life, I met in a small class. And they took an interest in me, and I learned a lot from them, and I still remember what they taught. What kind of community do you want to live in? I'm going to say one other sort of personal word as a parent to give you sort of a glimpse of college at DePauw. I mentioned I was teaching this course with Dr. McKelligan, who's chair of the philosophy department. And I'm everybody who knows me knows I'm a little scattered and a little forgetful. And it was one Saturday about a month ago, and I didn't have the proper materials with me. We were down at our lake house, and I was preparing for class. And so I rang Marcia up at home about noon on Saturday to get her to share some information with me that I needed on Monday. And her husband said, well, she's not here. She's in the office. Well, so I called the office. And I was very impressed that faculty were in their office on Saturday. And I said, what are you doing? She said, I've been here all day. I'm writing recommendations for students to graduate school. And I thought how different that was from the experience our daughter had. And she went to an institution, if I named it, you would recognize it. She loved it. I'm not putting down that institution. She liked it so much, she works in admissions for them in competition with her father's school. She liked it. But I can tell you as a parent, when she was graduated and was applying for jobs, and I said, one of the things you need to do is choose some of your favorite professors and get them to write letters of recommendation for you. She had gone to an institution that was large enough. She had had not enough classes with 1 or 2 professors that they knew her well enough to write a recommendation. And that was a little disappointment to me as a parent after we'd paid all those tuition bills. What kind of institution, what kind of community do you want to live in? You can receive a high-quality education. Our daughter would say she received one. So I want to be very careful what I say. I'm not putting down other schools to build DePauw up. I'm just saying we occupy a particular niche. You can receive a very fine education in larger institutions. It really centers around the question, what kind of community do you want to be in? Our daughter just happened to go growing up in Greencastle. She couldn't wait to go to the big city. That was her criteria. But what kind of community do you want to live in? With good students, with high caliber faculty. And I'm sure you want to live on a campus with up-to-date and modern facilities. We can say with confidence, if you come over to Greencastle and visit us, you'll be impressed with our campus. The $15 million art building was mentioned. And I say just a word about that, because that building, which we just opened this fall, says a lot about DePauw. As a matter of fact, it sort of defines some of the ethos of the university. The money for that building was given by the CEO of a Fortune 500 company who had attended DePauw. And when it was time to put a name on the building, he and his spouse, who also attended DePauw, decided to name the building after Richard Peeler, who was her faculty member. Now, I had worked with our donor for 10 years using all of my persuasive skill to talk him into giving significant money to DePauw. I tried our management center, scholarship programs, faculty chairs, technology. We talked for a decade. You know, I was quite surprised to receive a phone call from him right after we finished our campaign, and he said, how's the art building coming? And I said, well, we've raised $0. And he said, well, I think maybe Christine and I can help you with that. And the reason I tell this story, the reason he gave the money for the building, there were two reasons. One, the close relationship they had with a faculty member, which later in life, even as chairman of a company in Washington, D.C., he still remembered. And two, he said it was at DePauw when I was first exposed to art. And this means a lot to me. Our art building, the $36 million we're spending on the Julian Science and Math Center, the $20 million grant from the Lilly Endowment to help us learn how to use technology in all our classes. And if you combine what we're doing with technology with one faculty member for every 10 students, you begin to see that not only are we ranked in the top 10% of the most wired colleges by Yahoo Magazine, but you begin to see opportunities that students have to benefit from technology, to use technology in the classic liberal arts, using technology as Bob Hirschberger does to help teach Spanish better. So you don't have to be a computer science major to benefit from the technology at DePauw. Quality people, quality faculty, good facilities. Yeah, and let's face it, you know, when you come to college, you really like to live in a good place. As Madeline mentioned, we spent over $11 million in the last 3 years on our dormitories. We have new apartments for our students to live in. We're a very traditional Midwestern campus. We still have a strong sorority and fraternity system. And I might even say a word about that because I don't know what your image of a Greek system is. About a month ago, I was guest at the Phi Gamma Delta House, the Fiji House, for dinner one night. It was their scholarship banquet. Good time to invite the president over, right? So they did, and I spoke for a few minutes. And what I encountered after I was home, I told Gwen, you know, I would be delighted if David had his life to go all over again to be in a group like that, as opposed to some of the images that are portrayed in the national press. There's no alcohol in that house ever. They were celebrating scholarship. There were about 8 faculty members who were invited to dinner because they were particularly meaningful to those students. And we had a great time. And it was clean. I mean, the president was coming, right? What kind of community do you want to live in? I think that's a real important question for you to think about when you choose a college. And now the second one, and then I'll stop. Where do you want to be in 5 years? I said most of what I know about the college search process I learned from our children. Most of what I expect out of a college like DePauw, I also learned from our experience as parents. So let me say a word to the parents. We, like you, wanted our son and daughter to find a college they were ecstatic about. We didn't want them to find one that was like, okay. And they both did. And they went off to school, and we paid those tuition bills for 4 years. And they did something we never anticipated. They received their degree. We did anticipate that. What we didn't anticipate was they moved back home. Both of them. And on examination, I couldn't help but compare their experience in college with the students who come to DePauw. Not that DePauw students never, ever moved back home, but neither of our children knew what they wanted to do when they were graduated. And they had chosen colleges that they thoroughly enjoyed. They had a good experience. They learned a lot. But somehow they lacked the focus to choose what they wanted to do with their lives. That may be one of the most distinctive features about DePauw. With our internship possibilities over winter term, some of the internships that run the semester plus the summer, people have a chance to try their wings, to test things, to see what they want to do. And sometimes they find that what they thought they wanted to do is not at all checking out with reality. That's a good experience. That's a good thing to learn while you're in college. And sometimes they find perfect fits. The last thing I would say is this. A lot of people, and some of our students share this view, think that college is kind of like life in a bubble. But I hope at DePauw it's really not that way. And one thing we do to keep you from living in a little bubble in Greencastle, Indiana for 4 years is this. If you come to DePauw, you're coming and going all the time. You're having the experience of winter term internships. You're having the experience of studying abroad. You're having the experience of semester-long internships. You're having the experience, perhaps, of working with a Bonner Scholar program on and off campus. And this dialogue between what you're learning in class and where you're going, whether it be the workplace or community service placements, gives you a perspective that when you think about where you want to be in 5 years, if you've chosen to be a student at DePauw, and if you have excelled, you have a very, very good idea what you'd like to do with your life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Bottoms. And now it's time for us to break up into groups, so you'll have a chance to get up, move around, but more importantly, ask questions, talk to lots of people, find out more about DePauw.